Hello and greetings, mortals. Welcome to my home. But before we begin, like always, or like I've recently started doing, a warning. I do not own any animes, such as Demon Slayer, Naruto, or MHA. I do not own any music or photos in this video. The only thing I own is my voice, and mine alone. And with all that out of the way, let's hit it. So, we began many years ago, before Japan was really even a thing. Well, before modern Japan was a thing. Now, we begin our story around the 1500s. No, maybe even further or forward. Who knows? All we know is it's the Taisho era. Back then, there was a terrifying beast. Well, not one, but many terrifying beasts. They were known as demons. Demons were widely feared by everyone. They were feared for their destructive skills and their bloodthirsty appetites. However, there was one who stood above all, a demon who had defeated the old ruler. Her name was Nezuko Kamado. She defeated the old king of demons, Muzan. After centuries, and after what seemed like years of training, the girl was able to defeat the old king Muzan and become the demon queen. Once again, a feared creature. However, before Muzan died, he enforced the last of his will and blood into Nezuko, making her an even powerfuler and eviler demon. Whereas Nezuko's original goal was to defeat Kibutsuji Muzan and bring peace about humanity and demonkind. His blood did something otherwise. Now, due to her now being stronger than Muzan, his blood merged with her own and became her blood instead of her blood becoming his. However, his will and his blood, all it did was give her power. But his will, however, his will changed her views and made her an even more power-hungry warlord. She, however, instead of only having a small grouping of strong demons, she commanded every single demon, no matter what was their skill level, to come before her. She organized the demon race into a terrifying army. And due to the blood of her brother, who had died before her, to an even stronger demon, Nezuko, by her brother's last wishes for a power boost, drank his blood and ate the remainder of him. It was only through his selfless sacrifice and her twisted interpretations that this happened. Eventually, Because Tanjiro was a sun breather, a very strong one at that, by devouring him and eating his blood, Nezuko was gifted with the ability to walk in the sun. Well, she already had that, but due to having Tanjiro's blood, she was able to not only use sun breathing, but she was also able to give the ability to walk in the sun to other demons. However, this armada crumbled entire villages, entire empires, wiped out in minutes. Nezuko had all the power she could ever want. But Nezuko is only one half of the story. She's not even the main character. No, the main character is another demon. A demon who was once the weakest of the weak. However, well, she was once a weak, measly human who was very beautiful. But, of course, due to her acts of self-preservation, she was almost killed. Her brother tried to protect her, but he was murdered in cold blood. She ran for what seemed like miles when Nezuko herself had found the girl. She offered her blood and power in exchange for her loyalty, which the little girl gave to her willingly. And so, Nezuko gave the girl a large amount of her blood. But that alone wasn't enough. She gave her tutoring, skills. Eventually, the girl rose up the ranks faster than any demon before her, even faster than the legendary Kokoshibo, Upper Moon 1 himself. Everyone was shocked by this amazing development. However, humans were terrified, as they couldn't even sleep at night without being terrified that they'd be eaten. But one day, the girl had seen and had regained a piece of her human self. A piece of her human self that didn't want to eat humans, but instead she just wanted to live peacefully. And so she went to Nezuko, and asked her for peace with the human race. Nezuko, furious, yelled at her and declined her offer for peace. Declined her proposition for peace. In Nezuko's now twisted eyes, her brother's sacrifice, along with Muzan's power, allowed her to rule the world. In her own twisted eyes, this was what her brother wanted. For her to rule over the world and spread peace by force. For everything to become a part of her twisted, dark empire. However, the girl saw right through Nezuko's delusions and Nezuko's twisted delusions, and the two battled. And not yet. The girl trained herself to be even stronger, eventually gaining the previous unattainable rank of Upper Moon 0. She was at an equal strength with Nezuko. Nezuko was just a little bit stronger by only a couple, and by only 1% of power. And so the girl hurled outright challenged Nezuko to a battle. Nezuko felt heartbroken because she had learned to love this demon and this girl, who was her strongest soldier after the centuries which they'd spent together, conquering everything in their path. Nezuko was furious about this, and she charged with full force. She then, without cutting herself, had several slits open up in her body. They then started leaking out blood. However, the blood then stretched outwards and started dashing towards Daki, which was the girl's now demon name. Her original name was Izumi Midoriya, a 13-year-old child who lost her brother. Izumi, who lost a 13-year-old girl who lost her 26-year-old brother. Izumi, now known as Daki, battled with Nezuko for the future of not only demonkind, but humankind as well. The battle was long and fierce, but Izumi, somehow, whether it be with her sun-breathing infused demon art, along with all of the training she'd gone through, was able to defeat Nezuko. Nezuko was furious about this. And before Daki could rest, Nezuko blasted a final attack at her. Not a final attack. She blasted a strong attack at her. Nezuko forced an extremely large orb of blood out of her mouth. The blood swirled and all the way towards Izumi. This ginormous orb of blood, hit Izumi and set itself ablaze, exploding in pink flames. Daki, also known as Izumi, was then almost dead. She was extremely frail and weakened, as the demon queen known as Nezuko would then say, "How about I offer you one final chance to work for me? Daki? Simple. You give me your absolute loyalty and don't betray me again, and I'll welcome you back into my warm, protective arms. And we can forget that this entire mess even happened, and we can go back to our plans of taking over the world and enforcing our vision of peace upon it." However, before Nezuko could finish, Daki would then say, No. My name is not, first off, my name is not Daki. It's Izumi." She would then launch a large amount of extremely fast sash-like tentacles, which would then set themselves ablaze with sun breathing, without burning themselves. They would then begin moving in intricate spiral-like patterns, as they would then all at once strike right into Nezuko. But that wasn't even enough, as Daki would then use a katana and sunbreathe and her blood demon art infused sun breathing to blast white sun breathing out in an effort to defeat Nezuko. She sliced Nezuko up only into tiny chunks and left, exhausted. Daki regaining most of her human in memories, regaining most of her old personality and her earnest desire for true peace and equality, but also to defeat evil and protect the innocent with a smile on her face. However, little did Daki know, and little did Izumi know, that while she left, the tiny flesh chunks that were once Nezuko started to gather up, only enough to create a hand. But it was enough. The hand started to move around in silence, as it required a body, and a body. Without a body, it simply could not survive, and so the hand eventually found a solution. But, well, that's for later. We continue, however, with Daki's story, with Izumi's path/story. Izumi had defeated Nezuko, the queen of all demons, the most powerful demon in history. She was stronger than the old demon king Muzan himself by 1,000-fold. The battle destroyed a large fraction of Japan. And so, this made Daki happy. Not the destruction, but it finally being over. And because she'd gained her human traits back, Nezuko's power had left her. However, for those who were still well under Nezuko's control, well, they burnt to crisp after exploding into millions of pieces. They exploded into burning pieces of flesh, which burnt away and was forgotten. Now only one demon remained. It was, of course, Izumi. Izumi, however, realized that if humanity was to survive and was to continue, she and the rest of demon races would have to be forgotten. And so she left. She left the life of a demon of Upper Moon Zero. Still, however, she had the engravings in her eyes to remind her every single day in the mirror of her past mistakes. She vanished, but whilst she left, little did she know that Nezuko was starting to build herself back up, little by little, with more death and destruction that the world would cause, she would slowly return. As we skip many years later, almost 1,000 years later, actually, she is now, the one known as Azumi is now a child who goes to school. Well, not exactly a child, more such a teenager. She disguised herself as a teenager because who's going to think a teenager is a over 1,000-year-old demon, right? Who would? However, whilst she tried to live normally, society had changed on her in a rapid way, apparently due to the amount of destruction from her and Nezuko's age-old battle. Centuries-old battle. No, wait, sorry. Millennia-old battle. The destructive force, along with the power which leaked off of their very bodies in their fight, had leaked into humans and into the ground and soil itself, causing the food to be tainted with their demonic power. However, since the food was grown by nature itself, it was cleansed, and that demonic power became just power, no longer demonic, erasing any hope that Nezuko or any demon could have for controlling the masses in the future. Eventually, the food from the grounds of Japan was traded all across the world, to the point where 80% of the humans gained abilities from the food. And, well, you get the idea. Once the food is eaten or thrown away, the seeds are used to create more of that food, and so on and so forth. This happened so much that eventually 80% of the Earth was gifted with abilities. They were called quirks, passed down from generation after generation. These quirks were quite amazing. However, they never entertained Azumi enough. Azumi would pretend she had a quirk. She'd call it Burning Sash Demon. It allowed her to maintain her demonic appearance while also retaining the abilities of her sun-breathing and sash-like tentacles. However, not only that, but she was also able to survive the harsh and cold environments of, well, living in a life with heroes and villains. No one really questioned how long she was alive, as one of the abilities of her so-called quirk was immortality. Only a demon stronger than Izumi herself could kill her. But, of course, the only demon that could kill her, if they really wanted to, was long gone, right? But, oh, was Izumi so wrong. As we go to downtown Japan, we see a beast. Well, not a beast, sorry. We see what appears to be a factory. No, not a factory. a underground sort of citadel, old, broken. It is made of pieces of debris from the Taishao and Sengoku eras. However, there they saw it, stuck in a metal container with over 50 locks on it, was a single old dusty hand. Now who saw it, you might be asking? Who dare open that dreaded chest? Simple. Occultists and cultists who believed in the old ways, who believed in a greater power. These cultists were called the True Peace. Peace Armada. The True Peace Armada believed in a world without villains, without heroes, without vigilantes, anti-heroes, or anti-villains. A world without violence. A world ruled by peace, even if that peace had to come from harsh, deadly force. And so, they had looked for something, or at least someone, able to help them with their endeavors. And there they saw it. Ancient texts. I'm sorry, I cannot say texts. Sorry. Ancient scrolls telling. Ancient texts. I've got it, I can't. Okay. Ancient scrolls or parchments telling of a old age creature, the Demon Queen. Legend had it that she was extremely powerful, and wished to grant world peace by having the whole world under her control. However, according to the myths, she was defeated and betrayed by her own, and by the one she trusted the most. And so this traitor defeated Nezuko. However, according to to the ancient parchments as well, a small amount of Nezuko and of the Demon Queen rebuilt itself, but eventually the remainders and tried killing for more blood, for more human flesh. The hand eventually, he started a trend. It would find humans that it would find somewhat worthy. It would then, and by any means, make the human lose one of their hands and would replace it. This would grant Nezuko control over the human's mind, soul, and body. However, it was always the same problem. The human body would always, decay away. They would always die. Her blood, sadly, could not infect the human's body. After all, she was just a hand with a consciousness, with memories. She had none of her old age power. Well, she did have some. She could still set her blood on fire, and the hand still had demonic claws, along with superhuman strength, and along with godlike strength. Eventually, before the the last of the Hashira disbanded, they found the final user, and they found the final host of Nezuko, and chopped off the hand. Before it could do anything, they locked it up in a metal box and had it thrust underground and had it hidden underground where no one would ever find it. However, they did not expect cultists who wanted world peace to, by force, to actually want to find the Demon Queen. And so the cultists were there. They had the 50 keys, known as the 50 demonic blades. Each key was made in the shape of a blade or dagger or weapon of some kind. Or they just looked like strange keys. Each of the 50 was scattered across the earth and oceans and even the skies. Well, for instance, one of the keys was buried in the very bottom of a volcano. The other, and another, at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. They were hidden, as you can see, each of the 50 keys was hidden very far from one another, and they were each hidden with challenges awaiting for any who tried to take the keys. But there they were, all 50 keys in the chest. The foolish cultists opened it, revealing the old dusty hand, which, due to time and erosion, looked skeletal and thin. However, when the hand felt sunlight and felt the very breeze of air on it, with its last of strength, latched onto a cultist and dug itself into them and into their flesh. It began to do an exact opposite of how you turn a human into a demon, by injecting it with your blood, usually either by the teeth, the nails, you get the idea. The hand would use its nails to drain the blood from the human cultists. And using this blood, the hand was able to be rejuvenated. It would then attack the other cultists, and eventually the hand would grow a forearm. From draining all of their blood, it would grow an entire forearm. Now it was half of an arm. It could now walk using its fingers. And so it did such. The hand and the now half of an arm climbed out of the underground and in to the streets of downtown Japan. It latched onto people and drank their blood, growing even more of itself. Eventually, it would become an entire arm with a tiny bit of torso. However, meanwhile, while that was happening in downtown Japan, in Muzutafu, Japan, we see Daki, also known as Izumi, preparing to take a test. as she then hears, not a test, sorry, she's preparing to finish her written hero exam test. She, of course, finishes it with flying colors, due to all of her advanced knowledge and wisdom which she's gained over the millennia and centuries. As she then goes to the physical part of the exam, where she hopes to impress and wow the teachers, which she knows are watching. And so she dashes directly into the exams and the fake city which she's assigned to. Her outfit then unravels into what is now 2 sash-like tendrils, which, at the speed of sound, dash right into multiple robots, setting them ablaze with the power of the sun. Just white. As we go to the teachers and Nezu, who are watching, as Aizawa would then say, "Nezu, are you getting a look at this? That girl, the one with the white hair and the strange clothing, and in the strange-looking clothing, it appears that her clothing is actually part of her quirk, or it allows her to use some of her quirk. As I can tell, she isn't exactly taking this seriously. However, it appears that those sash-like tendrils, which she's able to manipulate, have the ability to set things ablaze with white flames, but also move at extremely fast motions. They also appear to cut as if they were made of metal and steel. Strange. As then Nezu would then say, I suppose you're right. Let's watch the battle, and let's continue to watch as we go back to Izumi, who begins running at superhuman speeds and with her own bare fists, punching through robots and even kicking through them, while her tendrils slice through about 10 others each second. The teachers are amazed. Nezu is so impressed that he then says, "All right, release the baby," as all of the teachers look at him in confusion, as he then says, "What? It's a Croods reference. Oh, what, have you guys never heard of 2000, and of the 2000th century? They gave us some of the best movies and TV shows, along with comics and manga. Seriously, you guys should read up on your ancient history." As the 0-pointer would then start walking around, punching through buildings, and trying to crush any human that it sees in its path. As Nezu would then say, "Oh dear, I cannot stop it. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to watch the carnage ensue," says Nezu. As then Izumi, sensing that this thing could actually be a bit of a challenge, then spawns out 2 more tendrils out of her back, as they begin to elongate and slice even faster, about 10 times the speed of sound. However, this time they're going in spiral-like motions to the point where, they're going around and around in spiral-like motions to the point where after images make it seem as if there are, instead of 4 tendrils, there are, 12 tendrils. No, sorry, 48 tendrils spinning around in giant circular motions as the robot begins to be sliced apart, along with setting on fire with white flame. However, while this is also happening, we see Izumi in the wiring of, and in the core matrices of the robot, kicking and punching the crap out of it, going at superhuman speeds with superhuman strength. In a matter of a minute or 30 seconds, the 0 pointer is dust. Only a small pile remains, which is then blown away and burnt by a fire user's quirk. As then Nezu would then say, and would then turn on the intercom and would say, "The U8 entrance exam has ended. I thank you for all of your hard work. If you got in, we'll send you a message, and we'll send you a letter. If you have not, well, you will not get a letter. That is all, and have a good day," he would say. As he'd then turn off the intercom and would say, one more thing. As he would then turn on the intercom and would say, "And before everything ends, may Izumi Midoriya please come to the office? Thank you, and have a great day," as he'd then turn off the intercom. Izumi would then walk up to Nezu's office, which had all the other teachers inside. As Nezu would then say, "Explain to me, young Midoriya, how is it that your work, along with your physical skills, are so enhanced? It seems as if you've been mastering your abilities for almost centuries." "What is your quirk, exactly?" As she would then say, "My quirk? Oh, it's called demonic burning sash tendrils. And demonic burning sash tentacles. Basically, it makes me a demonic-like being, allowing me to have sharp teeth, a third eye, which I can open if I'm pissed, and if I want to, which I only do if I'm pissed enough. It also allows me to manipulate my hair and my appearance, but also allowing me to create more than 100 of these sash-like tendrils out of my body at any part I want. I usually just choose my back, however. Each acts as if it's made of the sharpest blades, and each acts as if it is made of one of the sharpest blades imaginable. They also have a flame-like effect which creates and spreads a white flame from them. I can also use multiple attacks with this white flame if I'm holding a weapon such as a katana. Although a sash like the ones my quirk allows me to use are favorable, and are a bit more favorable. As she then says, "I also am blessed with superhuman strength and speed, as well as longevity." as Nezu would then say, huh, strange. That sounds like an extremely overpowered quirk. As she then says, it is quite a bit, huh? As Nezu then says, well, I do not even have to get the other teachers to agree with me on this, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be in UA. And you are 100% going to be in UA. As every other teacher would just nod their head. As All Might would then say, as much as I hate to admit it, young lady, your quirk might actually, and you might actually be stronger than me. Be stronger than me in my prime if you take things seriously. As she then says, I haven't took things seriously in a long time. And hopefully I never will have to. As Nezu would then say, well then, have a good day, Miss Midoriya. As Izumi would then leave the class. As she would then say, and the rest of you teachers, you are dismissed. As they then all leave. As Nezu would then say, well then, Miss Midoriya, let's see what you're hiding. As he'd then go onto his computer and begin researching. As we go to downtown Japan, where we see, or Kyoto, Japan, where we see now, and where we see a now fully formed humanoid creature walking out. However, I'm walking out of a entire, brothel, pretty much. However, the creature does not have any hair, clothes, or even eyes. All it has is teeth and claws. And it looks quite skinny and pale, looking as if it's some sort of skeletal monster from someone's nightmares. As it then rushes over to someone and begins eating them whole. Suddenly, the creature then grows a pair of pink and black eyes. As it then starts scanning around the nearby alleyways for any human life, which it finds a couple of humans, and eventually it grows hair, flesh, and looks a bit more not like it's about to drop dead in 5 seconds. As she would then as the creature would then manifest a kimono onto her. Her hair would begin to extend to lengths thought only reachable by a goddess from an anime called Naruto. If you've seen Naruto, or at least Shippuden, you probably know who I'm talking about. As we see multiple drunks try to gang up on her and, yeah. As the girl would then use one of her hands as she would then simply raise her hand, as her hand would then split open into 4 parts. Each of the parts would then morph into terrifying scythe-like tendrils. Extremely large tendrils with mouths and eyeballs on them, with millions of scythe-like parts, scythe and blade-like parts also attached to them. with millions of scythe and blade-like parts also attached to them. As she would then begin killing the drunks with ease. Her hand would then revert back to normal as she'd then say, So this is all humanity has got now? Pathetic. Gugh. Disgusting. If only my beloved didn't stop me from... If only my beloved didn't stop me from ruling in this place so long ago, we would already live in a perfect utopia, where there would be no fighting, no racism, no hatred, nothing. And those who do not respect the laws of peace, as she would then see a human child cowering in the corner, as she would morph her hand into a large spinning scythe-like wheel, and a large wheel with millions of spinning scythes on it. Basically, imagine a buzzsaw, but with like a million scythe and blade-like parts sticking out from all over the place. As she would then say, those who do not respect the laws of peace will be punished thoroughly, she would say, as she would murder the innocent child in mere seconds. As she would then devour the child whole, and would say, I suppose that is a filling meal. Now, to learn about the future, and now to learn about what is now the present, but also to get some clues on where my beloved is, as I know she wouldn't die that easily. She wouldn't die easily. Hell, I guess I'm the only one who's even a match for her in this world, despite humans having abilities from what I've seen. They clearly aren't demons, as I cannot control them. I suppose that whilst we were fighting, our power leaked somehow into human food and water, eventually over time changing them and giving them this necessary body parts to captivate their own unique abilities. I should then say, interesting. And what's even nicer is that I and my beloved can gain these abilities from feasting upon such humans. As she would then open her mouth and would release an extremely large breath of blue flame, as she'd then say, a pity, with such a nice power, you would have made a great, and one of those humans could have made great demons. As she would then begin flying, as she then said, great demons indeed. As she would then clone herself once, then the two clones would merge together, as she would feel her power double, as she'd then say, ooh, very nice. And let's see what that child possessed. As suddenly, the gravity around her would seem as if it was not working, as if she was able to control gravity. Now, no, this is not Uraraka. Trust me on that. As she then says, ooh, a very nice gift. With these new powers, I will be even stronger. But, right now, the wand allows me to double myself, then merge those two selves together to double my power. is probably my favorite, because now my victory against Daki is certain. I will force her to be my bride, no matter what. And if she refuses, I'll simply have to give her a punishment of my blood. With my blood infused in her once more, I'll repress her human self all the way down, as far as imaginable and unimaginable, and then my sweet Daki and I will conquer this entire human world, and we will create not one, not 10, not 100, not thousands, not millions, billions. Yes, we will create billions of demons, and we will create a billion demons, an entire armada, who will feast upon the flesh of the humans, because I will them to. And once all is said and done, I'll have them to eat human food. And we will conquer all in our path. It seems like a dream, Daki? Well, it is a dream which will soon become reality. And that is where I'm ending this part off. I hope y'all have enjoyed part 1 of What If Female Deku Was Daki, part 1. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all later. Goodbye, and, Skado.